And so all of these things, last week we talked about blood, but this week, I just want to talk about one other topic that I think is such a big problem here that I'm not going to add this to the list. I'm certainly no greater than the Apostle Peter, but it's another thing that I think we would be helpful for us to at least talk about. And with that, I'll just start us off with a little story, just to kind of get an introduction into this topic. Okay? So a guy went and hired this guy to do some work. And they agreed to meet at the hardware store. And on a particular day at 8:30 in the morning, they called each other, said, hey, let's go. I'll meet you at Buco building, whatever it may be. And we can buy the parts, whatever is needed to get the job done. So the guy went and showed up at the store. 10 minutes pass and the guy he hired just is not showing up. It's fine. Goes, looks around the store and is trying to calculate and look at some different things. Now, after 30 minutes, the guy still isn't there. Tries calling the guy. He doesn't answer his phone. Tries calling again. Oh, no, I'll be there now. I'm on my way. Another 30 minutes later, the guy still hasn't shown. That's now an hour has passed. After that hour, a whole nother hour passes until the guy calls and says, okay, no, sorry, something came up, but now I'll be there soon. And within 30 minutes, the guy finally showed up. 2.5 hours later passed the appointed time. To which the guy addressed the employee and said, what's going on? Why? I've been waiting for 2.5 hours. We agreed at 8:30. No, I just had this other client. I really needed to sort him out. To which the guy responded, well, just tell me that. Why did you not tell me that 2.5 hours ago? I've just been sitting. Oh, you're right. Please forgive me. I should have let you know. Buy the materials. It goes off there. The employee goes off his way to do another job. While all the things are getting prepared and whatnot. Finally, they get all the materials, all the things. And all the materials, all the things. And they're ready to start the job. So they get, the guy gets to the location and now talks to the guy. No, I'm on my way. Just finished this other thing. I'm on my way. And of course, but the guy, was he on his way? You already know it, or at least you do. The guy didn't show up. The guy who hired him tried calling, doesn't answer his phone. Sends a message, where are you? An hour and a half later, shows up. The topic, and once again, the guy who called him just told him that morning, look, if you're going to be late, let me know. So I'm not just sitting there waiting. So he didn't even learn. That afternoon, he's still doing the same lies, saying, on my way, I'm there. Needless to say, the guy is not going to hire anymore for any future work. So that's a story. Going along with our topic for today, and what we're talking about today is faithfulness. Being faithful. It's such a big problem. You guys, I'm sure that story is very similar. Something very similar has happened to you, not? Anyone? No, never. Okay. And it's a big problem here, unfortunately. But I think we need to look at what the scriptures, because I don't want this to be the case with us in our church. We need to be the salt and light, and we need to be different. And I want to look at just a couple of passages in the scriptures to help you understand how important this topic is. It's too common. And I wonder if it's all happens all too common because we don't understand how important it is. So let's look at what the scriptures have to say about being faithful. Our first passage is Luke 16, verse 10. And 11 goes right with it, but we'll just focus here on verse 10. If you are faithful in little things, you will be faithful in large ones. But if you are dishonest in little things, you won't be honest with greater responsibilities. That's Luke 16, 10 and 11 if you're taking notes. This Greek word, faithful, and I say the Greek because that's the original language. The word is peito, but it basically just means trustworthy, responsible. And even here, the other word here, it says it's honest and dishonest. Being faithful in little things. And notice this principle. If you're faithful in something small, you can be trusted with something great. And that's the whole point of this message. If you are faithful in something small, then you can be faithful in something large. Going back to our story. Does it surprise you that the guy will not hire that person in the future for the job? He was not faithful or trustworthy in something so small just to stick to time. So why should that person be entrusted with yet another job? It's just common sense, right? Didn't even have the common courtesy to say, yes, I'm really sorry. Something came up and I'm going to be delayed about 2.5 hours. Sorry, I have to do this. And I understand if you don't have time today to finish the job. Wouldn't that at least be more acceptable rather than wasting the guy's time? But faithful. Being faithful. And I put together here a little chart. All right. And we'll just call this like a faithfulness pyramid. And I just want to look through this a little bit. And just to kind of put it on picture. Just so you guys can kind of see what this can look like. Just some practical applications for you to consider. Okay, so this is a faithful pyramid, if you will. And as a building and an engineer, we know that the foundation, you have to start somewhere and build on top of that. And so here we're gonna build up on here, but we're gonna go one step at a time, right? And the first part that you should really work in being faithful with is yourself. If you are not taking care of yourself, how can you possibly take care of some other responsibility? And so it starts with yourself. You need to know how to bath. Do you stink? If you can't properly maintain your own hygiene, how can you be trusted with something else? You brush your teeth, take care of yourself, shave your face, cut your hair, do you exercise? You are important. If you are not taking care of yourself, that's where it starts. This is the foundation. This is what we teach children. The hope of teaching these children is that they can grow and mature to a point where they can take care of others, take care of themselves without their parents helping them through every situation, isn't it? This is, you guys laugh at this, but unfortunately, it's a problem. We've all been in the queue at Pick and Pay, and somebody in front of you hasn't bathed in a couple of weeks, it smells like. But for us here, Grace and Truth, we want to help you. This area is something very small, taking care of yourself. It's a little thing. It's a little thing leads up to help you be trusted with greater things. And so you got to focus on this. This stuff may seem, it's not that big of a deal. It is a big deal. It's an absolutely a big deal. And that's why I'm sharing this message, because that guy is going to not get future work in the future for being unfaithful. I don't want you guys to have to happen to you. We want to love each other and help each other. And this is a discipline, this is a character quality that we must have in our lives. And it starts with the simple things. So the foundation, take care of yourself. Next thing on the item after our pyramid, start taking care of your things. So you have yourself, but now also you have your possessions, your things. The little bit of money you get each month, budget, plan it out. I was encouraged and also concerned last week. We talked about love. After this sermon, we were sharing and talking, and some people would give away all of their food to the point where they don't even have enough left to take care of themselves. And the generosity is great, but we have to remember, if you're not going to take care of yourself, no one else will. So don't be afraid not to give so much away. If you have to take care of yourself, you take care of yourself. I love the generosity, but maybe you're being too generous. Can't believe I'm actually saying that, but that's but think about that. You have to plan, you have to make a budget and take care of yourself. That's what the mature, responsible thing to do. You have to be faithful. And that may seem like a little thing, but it's important. Your possessions, do you take care of your things? Do you take care of your phone? Do you take care of your clothes? Do you wash your clothes? Do you your food, your possessions? These different things. Are you being faithful with them? Do you make your bed? You clean up after you're finished using the kitchen, or clean up your dishes. Do you take care of your things? You clean your toilet? Or you just don't care? It's a little thing. It's no big deal. I'm living on my own. I don't have to do what my parents say anymore. Well, there's a reason. Your parents made you do that to help you become faithful and responsible. It's a good thing. So how are you doing in that area? How about your time? Do you go to class? Many people just skip class nowadays. And you've been given a great privilege to go to the university. What are you doing skipping class? Keep your commitments. If you say you're going to do something, do it. I'm going to memorize a verse this week. That's a little thing. I didn't have time. Just couldn't do it. Little things. Those little things, they are important. But do you keep your commitments? And if you're unable to keep that commitment, boy, I just want to highlight this one. Tell people if you're unable to keep that commitment on time. Going back to that story, if the person that guy hired would have called and said, sorry, something came up. I won't be available for 2.5 to 3 hours. You think that would have changed? You think that guy would have hired that person again? Maybe, maybe not. It still is very questionable when you make an appointment. But at least that is it's a common courtesy. But unfortunately, what the common thing now in this culture is silence. Don't answer the call. Don't respond to text messages. No, this person, why are they always bothering me? Just borrowed their thing. Now they're always asking me for it back. We have to change that kind of mentality. We have to start developing faithfulness in little things. Keep your commitments. Show up on time. That's why we start our service 10 o'clock sharp. I want to help you see this in example, in practice. We don't start at 10:05. We start on time. We value your time. We want it to be a priority. So now on this faithfulness pyramid, but you see now where we're going. Yourself, your things. Now the next part. Now, if you're faithful and responsible with yourself, with your things, well, then you can then be trusted with other people's things. How are you doing in that? Do you return things that you borrow in good conditions and quickly? How many stories that I've heard of someone letting someone use their car? The car comes back, check engine light, busted tire, scratches all over the place. You return things in good condition. There was a saying that we had in America that I was taught in my Bible study. It was all, if you borrow something, always return it in better condition than when you got it. Return it in better condition. This keeps peace and love between each other. Remember what we talked about last week? Last character quality on our list was love. Isn't it loving to take care of other people's things? Wouldn't you be much more willing to borrow something to someone if you know they're going to take care of you? This is a loving thing to do. It's a faithful thing. And this seems very small. But I promise you, if you do these things, you're going to develop a good reputation among people. If you are faithful and continue to do these things, people notice. It will make an impact. And it will help you. It'll help you get future jobs. It will help you with helping people trust you with more opportunities. And I can't emphasize that enough. I share that story because that's a very common story. And it was completely unfortunate. And I don't want that to happen to you guys. If you're faithful with these things, it can go a long way. How about other people's time? Say, okay, we're going to meet for Bible study at 3:00. You show up at 3:15. You just wasted 15 minutes of that other person's time. We got to work on it. People will notice. If you're faithful with a little thing, you can be trusted with larger ones. We got to change this. This is a good thing. Faith. So now we got yourself, and then you're able to take care of your things. You're able to take care of other things, other people's things. This will help you and prepare you to start taking on more possessions. That as you grow and mature, you'll be able to be responsible with a job. You'll be able to show up on time because you're used to it. You're already trained yourself and disciplined yourself to go to class. You know how to wake up. You know how to take care and manage yourself so you can be prepared to do the job and do the responsibilities that are expected of you. You can be entrusted with a car. After you get a job and you're making money, you can now be responsible to service that car and make sure, maintain, and take care of it. You can own a village and hire some different people to plow it and to harvest it and to do all the work that's necessary to help provide some food for you. You can manage a house and take care of it. You can take care of even another animal, a pet, because you're responsible, you're faithful, and you're able to take care of yourself and your things so well that you can take care of something more. You see how we're getting more and more to larger things here? And leads us to this last one here. Last thing at the top of our pyramid. Let's see if we can get all that on the screen. More people. I want to point us back to our verse. In verse 11, if you are untrustworthy about worldly wealth, who will trust you with the true riches of heaven? And what are the true riches of heaven? I would like to encourage you that they are people. People are eternal. People will be in heaven for all eternity. People are precious, very valuable. It is a true rich that never wears out. Now I want to complement that with 1 Corinthians 4:1-2. So look at Apollos and me as mere servants of Christ who have been put in charge of explaining God's mysteries. Apollos and Paul were put in charge of it, teaching God's mysteries, teaching the Word of God. And notice verse 2. Now, a person who is put in charge as a manager must be faithful. If you're not faithful, you have no business being in charge of people. You're disqualified. Must be faithful. These are the true richest people. If you want to get married, if you can't even take care of yourself, why in the world should you be partnered and married together with another person? Doesn't make sense. If you can't take care of the little things, you shouldn't get the greater. How about children? If you can't take care of yourself, why? How can you possibly take care of a child? You're a child. Our church is called Grace and Truth Discipleship Church. You can't take care of yourself. Can you possibly help someone grow through this point of maturity to help it and teach them how to go and teach others? If you're not faithful to even take care of yourself, it's not possible. It won't happen. Faithfulness. And maybe even as you progress, maybe even an elder who is in charge of not just one person, but maybe even a couple different people. But this is not possible unless you are faithful with little things. Not being in a habit of saying, oh, it's just a couple minutes late. It's just a scripture memory verse. It's no big deal. It's just something little. Not faithful with something little, you won't be faithful with the large ones. I remember I heard a statement one time, and I want this to be something you think about as your application. And I heard this once and I never forgot it. But the thing was, is there any person in your life that you can trust with a job and you know that they will do that job so well that you don't even have to check on them? Have someone please clean the yard. And you trust that person and know that they are faithful and responsible to the point that when they say they're done, you don't even have to go and check. See if they did a good job. Have you ever had someone like this in your life? I remember that because I don't know if I've ever had a person like that in life. But what I've taken that to be as a personal challenge for myself. Lord, help me to be that kind of a man. If a person asks me to do something, I want to develop such a trust, be so faithful, they wouldn't even have to question. And I challenge and encourage you. That be your application. You grow and make a commitment to being so faithful to even the smallest things, so that people will develop that reputation about you. Wow, I can trust you. So where do you need to work on? How are you doing in this area of faithfulness? I'm glad you got some laughs, but I really hope that you see how important this is. Most important thing are people. If we can't take care of ourselves, our things, and other people's things and their time, there's no way we can be responsible to disciple others, make an impact on God's community. So I pray. We'll have a word of prayer, but I just encourage you, become that person who's very faithful even in the little things.